Throughout the entire Harry Potter franchise, Snape was often painted as a bad person. In reality, he's basically trying to protect Harry throughout this entire franchise. And I often think about how this can actually draw a very interesting parallel to relationships and conflict and how we understand how people act and how we move on from breakups. When someone does you wrong, it is so easy to feel sour. Like you want revenge and you want someone to feel the pain and the hurt that you personally felt. It's actually really difficult to take an objective point of view from a situation and actually understand what the hell is going on because all your emotions are very confusing. Right? One thing I'm learning, while it is easy to be sour, every single person is operating with the resources that they have readily available to them at the time, meaning that their own perspectives and the way that they approach situations and how they act in accordance to their beliefs are actually coming from a sound place according to them. That might not be sound according to you, but to them, it might be sound, if that makes sense. The point I'm trying to make is, while a person might have done something incredibly hurtful to you, you have every right to be sad and really upset. But you also have to remember that people are approaching situations and their beliefs from a fundamental level where they don't really know any better. Oftentimes, we think we're doing the right thing, but sometimes the right thing might not always be the best thing. In the early 1900s, the way that orphanages and the way the hospitals actually viewed childcare was really sterilized in a sense where they didn't really believe that babies need to be held. You can look this up. It's like there's a very long history about it. You know, all these children were developing insecure attachments because their parents were holding them, or they were in orphanages where they weren't being cared for properly. But at the time, we thought that that was the best thing for children. And now there's mountains of evidence to support the fact that children actually need routine care. Babies need to be held very routinely, and that we're having many discussions about attachment styles on social media, as well in our everyday conversations for those who are aware of what they are. What's even more fascinating is that we actually view childcare so differently in the 1920s compared to how we view it today. That your dad, your mom, or your boyfriend, or your best friend chose to operate in that moment might not have been the way that you wanted to. You didn't deserve to be hurt, right? But they were operating to the best of their intentions. And to be clear, someone's poor behavior doesn't justify how they treated you, because you are allowed to feel hurt. But what this does is it enables you to look at situations with greater context and recognize that while you were treated really poorly, you understand that someone was operating with the best of their ability to what they thought was the right thing to do. But unfortunately, that came at the cost of your relationship and your own mental health or your own well-being. And that's also a sign that you need to leave. And what I am not saying is that Snape and, you know, your abusive ex or your abusive parents or the way that people treat you is justifiable or that they are the hero. The way that people treat us may not be clear first and foremost, but there's often a reason behind it. Snape himself was trying to protect Harry because he loved his mother. The way Snape went about it sometimes wasn't often the best way for Harry, and in fact, he had so much pent-up anger and resentment and often hurt that he took it out on other people. But later in the franchise, Harry finally learned why Snape acted the way that he did and what he was doing this entire time. While it is great that Harry was able to get some answers, more often than not, we don't have the luxury of finding out the answers ourselves. Sometimes it's best to understand that people act according to the resources that they have readily available to them at the time.